I don't have a credit card, I'm a New Zealander, and I am a millionaire. Now, the millionaire bit, put in there for a little bit of clickbait, of course, because this is social media, but it will come in handy later on in this video. Now, a lot of people believe that you have to have a credit card because it works in your favor, you're going to build your credit score, you're going to use the bank's money, and then you can just pay them back, and then you're going to earn awesome air points and all of this shit. And I get it, but to be really front with you, because I know some people won't watch the whole video, I started thinking bigger than that, and I thought, you know what, why don't I just learn how to earn more money? Why don't I become wealthy enough that I don't need to worry about air points and get involved in all of that shit and all the small thinking about why it's so important to have a credit card? Now, I see why people do it. They think, right, well, I'm going to get one and I'm going to pay the bank back and I'm never going to pay any interest. But newsflash, about 53% of people do pay interest on their credit cards. So I don't know how so many people believe that they never do. 53% of people are right now. That's like 2024 data. But anyway, then there's the fees as well. But also I use a Westpac debit card that does attract air points. So yeah, why not just use that and then you don't need a credit card? But anyway, credit cards seem to be like really tribal and almost culty, and the banks have done such a good job to make people believe that they're these amazing products that you have to have. And what I reckon happens is that we think it's one of those wins that we can have. We're showing the big guy, man. We're beating the system. Oh, fucking use the bank's money, and well, I sure showed them, and we're getting one over them and all this sort of stuff. But why do they issue 2.5 million of them to New Zealanders? There's only 5.5, say, million of us. You strip out the under 18s and the 65s that are still using a bloody checkbook. Why are there so many credit cards in circulation in New Zealand? How do they afford to pay for all those points, those air points, and all those royalty and loyalty type schemes and the free insurance when you're traveling overseas and stuff? Like, how do they afford to do that? Because they're profitable. And that's what Kiwis also complain about. Oh, banks are so profitable. This is ridiculous. They make so much money. Now, to take you back a number of steps, I have had credit cards in my life, and I actually had a $15,000 limit, and I got it right out to 13 grand. I blew it all, and so some of you are going to be like, oh, okay, you couldn't be trusted with a credit card. Now I see why you don't have a credit card. Yeah, but I outgrew that, but that was part of it. So one part of my journey was, you know what, I want to get rid of that credit card, and I don't want to have that, so I cleared it down, and I would ring Westpac every fortnight. As soon as I got paid, I'd pay $500 off of it, and then I would decrease the limit. And that was my life. That was my life for 26 odd fortnights. And it took me over a year to actually clear that credit card. And then part of me didn't want to let it go. I'm like, oh, it's just good to have for emergencies. And then I started to ask myself bigger questions. I'm like, you pussy, like, are you not capable of building an emergency fund? Like, do you really think you need a credit card in emergencies? Like, are you not capable of finding other solutions that you don't need a credit card? And I'm like, fuck you, man. I'm battling with a better version of myself, trying to become somebody that I'm not at the moment. And I'm saying to my current self via my future self, like, seriously, bro, like, do you think you need a credit card for an emergency? And eventually I got to the point where, like, no, like, I know that I'm thinking bigger than that. I know that I can stack more money than that. I know that I don't need a credit card. I know that I don't care about their air points. I know I can afford my own travel insurance overseas, all these things. And so I'm like, bang, the credit card is gone. And so I got rid of it. But it's a hard thing to do because I think a lot of people get trapped there. They're like, no, that's my safety. That is my safety. But I think the safety could be get rid of it and go and build up some funds via doing some overtime, selling shit around the house that you don't use, or making it a project over the next 12 months. Become somebody who doesn't need a credit card. But like I said before, it's tribal, it's cult-like. There are, I call them like, credit card influencers. People want to tell you in the comments and message me and be like, oh, nah, man, you got to have a credit card. And these are all the reasons why. You don't need to convince me. Like, I'm done. I'm out of the credit card game, man. Like, you don't need to convince me. You're convincing yourself. So yes, you can convince yourself like why you need it, but why not have a play? Because the market, the banks, etc., let's call it the system, they are telling you why you need one too. So why don't you ask yourself why you don't need one? Why can't you try and make sense of that? And ultimately as well, I wanted to become somebody who made enough money that I could afford travel insurance. I could afford my own flights. My flights would become tax deductible running my business if I was going on trips that are business travel anyway. So then they can be claimed as an expense. So they decrease my profit and therefore my tax and whatnot. But then I'm generating more income and then I'm paying more tax. But anyway, story for another day. And I wanted to become that person. So I did become that person. And part of that was, well, I don't need a credit card. But of course, I still do stack some air points through this Westpac debit card as well. But I just don't get the whole obsession with credit cards. And I think there's actually it's probably, well, I don't know what it is, but there's a percentage of people who have a credit card that if you ask them, you need to pay it off right now, they're like, I need to wait till I get paid next. And it's like, yeah, great. You're not fucking gaming the system. You're in debt. You've got more debt. You found more debt. It's just another form of debt. Oh, no, it's all good. I pay it off on time every time. Can you pay it off right now? Oh, yeah. And then there's those people like, yeah, I can. Okay, well, like, show me your credit card balance and then show me your share portfolio. Oh, I haven't. No, I'm focusing on clearing my mortgage. Oh, okay, great. Well, like, how big's your emergency fund? Oh, I don't have one because you got a credit card. It's just all of this stuff, right? And I think it just reminds me that so many people are caught in the web of the banks with their amazing marketing and their encouragement of why to have this stuff. And I've been through it all and I've seen it as well. But I just decided that it wasn't for me eventually having access to credit. I like to pay for things with money that I've earned. I pay the tax on and then I pay for them. Now, also, one of the things people don't talk about with credit cards is go and research it. There's data to suggest that you will spend more when it's not your money. So the spend on your card will increase on things because you're like, well, it's credit, I'll pay it back. And it's just how we do things. And that's why these credit cards are so successful for banks. And we don't like to admit this stuff because no, we're giving it to them. I'm winning, man. I'm getting the points and whatnot. But you just have to think a little bit differently about this stuff. And do you really need to be one of those people? Now, at the moment as well, like you tap and go with your credit card and stuff, the fees are fucking ridiculous on some of these things. Just to even have them and then also to use it each time. I'm like inserting my debit card. I'm a millionaire and I'm inserting in a top 1% income earner in this country. I insert my debit card. I'm like, I'm not paying your fees to pay wave this. What the hell? So yeah, that's a little bit of my sort of reasoning as to why not. I hope it gets you thinking differently. I know that this is just going to get flooded with comments of people being like, nah, man, like I always pay it on time. I get the air points. I got a free trip overseas or whatever. It's not free, man. Someone's paying for it. Like seriously. But I get it and I get why people want to do it. But you just want to be so careful with debt. And you also, like, don't you want to outgrow that at one stage? Like, don't you want to become somebody who doesn't need a credit card? You're like, why don't you take your credit card balance, whatever it is, whatever your limit is, and times it by 10 and be like, I'm going to stack that amount of cash. Who do I need to become to do that? And challenge yourself to do something bigger and set bigger goals and actually achieve things that you are capable of that you don't realize you are because you're actually stuck in the, okay, like now I can put this on my credit card, now I'll pay it back. And then you're back into that cycle for a while. Oh, I've had a hiccup come up and therefore I needed to use my credit card. So now I'm stuck back paying that off. Oh, my tooth didn't rot and I didn't have to go to the dentist. I wouldn't have had to do that. Poor me for a little while. Build up an emergency fund that you look at and you're like, man, it's kind of ridiculous having this emergency fund here. There's 10 grand there. And am I even going to need to use that? Someone messaged me recently and they were like, I'm so glad that I did that because our pet needed to go to the vets in an emergency. It cost them 6 grand and bang, they paid for it cash, done, see you later. They said to me, they were like, man, years ago, without the education from Keep the Change, I definitely would be ticking that up. And that's the thing, we don't know what's coming in the future and what we're going to need cash for. And that's why these products like debt and easy access finance and credit cards, they seem amazing because they're there to save us. They're there to save us when it all goes wrong. But then you've just got to go back into the grind of paying that shit off instead of being like, how could I stack 10 grand? Who do I need to become? What do I need to sell? What value do I need to add to the marketplace? Who do I need to transact with? Whose door do I need to knock on? What flyers do I need to print out? What overtime do I need to do? And learn to do those things. Debt's easy to get. It's a simple, easy solution. That's why so many people have it. It's hard to stop, not use it, not need air points, not need the travel insurance and all that stuff, and go, how can I actually build? How can I stack? How can I do this without debt? Now, finally, before we go, Recently, I went overseas and someone said, oh, have you got travel insurance? And I'm like, oh, holy shit, I actually don't. And I don't even know. And they're like, oh, well, I never have to worry about that because it's all part of my credit card. And I'm like, oh, 1-0, kind of. And I thought, who, not how, because that's how I live my life. I'm like, boom, I've built enough value that I know people in the travel space. I send an audio, hey mate, Luke here. I'm flying out tomorrow overseas, haven't even thought about travel insurance. Is this something you could sort for me? Yeah, mate, I've got your details already for some other travel that I'd previously booked. Leave it with me, I'll send you a policy tonight. Came back to me later, hey, we've done a policy for you, cover of XYZ. Are you happy with that? I'm like, yep, sweet, like great, pay this into our bank account, done. I didn't even need to go online, and be like, oh, okay, what do I need? I'm just like, I'll ask someone who can help me to help me. And I've got the money and I can pay for it. So was it 1-0 to the credit card holder, or was it, holy, look at what happens when you add enough value to people's lives and you build up to a point where you can reach out and ask for help. I wasn't in that moment like, damn man, I really wish I had a credit card. But that's the sort of shit that other people would be like, oh man, I fucking knew I should have had a credit card. You don't need one. You don't need one, I'm telling you. But I know I'm about to get bombarded. I might turn the comments off.